Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel here representing Team JVS. I'm back here again for another movie review. The name of this movie is called Mank. This is right now currently available on Netflix, and it is starring the amazing Gary Oldman. It's got Amanda Seyfried, Lily Collins. It's got Tom Pelphrey, who most notable role was on Iron Fist. He also played in some other things like The Defenders. It's also got Arliss Howard, as well as the amazing Charles Dance, who normally is Game of Thrones veteran. So, as far as the actual film, the synopsis reads, in the 1930s, Hollywood is re-evaluated through the eyes of a scathing social critic and alcoholic screenwriter, Herman J. Mankiewicz, or Mank. And so, as he races to finish the screenplay of Citizen Kane that was developed in 1941. Now, I will tell you guys, I've never seen Citizen Kane. I probably should have looked at Citizen Kane before even doing this review, but I'm going just on my interpretation and look of this film from it as a film. But I know for a fact that Citizen Kane is notably, for most critics unanimously, is one of the greatest pieces of cinematography that they've, ever, established in mainstream media. Now, as far as the things that I like, I love the look of this. It was so uncanny, like the look of the black and white and the usage of transitions. Those transitions were classic. I haven't seen like this much dedication to something like this since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And even then, they kind of had to, really go down the route that Tarantino normally goes. But with this one, David Fincher was like, no, I want to make this era. I want to explore the way that cinematography was done that time. Even like the different nudges of Hollywood. And I think that it really does cater to me personally because I love cinema. I love like what the developmental process of coming up with a script, coming up with of trying to achieve and get something amazing, and also depending on your actors as much as your team. And this movie really does go in that space, the worst and the bad sides of this. But specifically with Gary Oldman's character, Herman, he is a character that is fundamentally flawed, which I do appreciate the amount of dedication that emotionally Gary Oldman kind of went for. But again, it's kind of like, to me, he didn't do more than what I've seen him capable of doing. I do think that Amanda Seyfried, as her character Marion Davis, I think she did an amazing job in the scenes that she was in. She becomes this character completely. It's not even a question. Like, she is completely honed in to the point that you don't recognize her, you don't hear, Amanda in any way, shape, or form. She is very much so dedicated. The other thing I'll say about Gary and Lily Collins, they have amazing chemistry. Even more so to me than Amanda Seyfried and Gary Oldman, even though the scenes they do have. The thing about this film is they play with this idea of emotional connection. Like, the emotional connection are the things that it's kind of like, you're just like, oh man, they have such a interesting connection. Like, it's something going on, there's something gonna happen. And you're continuously pondering this in your head, even more so than the layers that Mank as an actual individual person and a character has in this film, which is probably the most dynamic parts of it. In the second act, they do something very pivotal with Lily Collins' character, Rita, and her perspective on what kind of man Mank really is, that I really appreciate. I think I love the way that that was written, the way that that was executed. It brought different layers to what the character, as well as the movie, was really all about ultimately. And I think the way that the actual scripting of it was, I think the script was really good. I think it was a really well done script. I just don't think that this was Gary Oldman's best. I think I've seen him in much greater. I do think that the chemistry for the cast is amazing. I think the way that it was shot was amazing. I think that the attention to detail and the way that it was actually crafted was amazing. But that's all I can say outside of that, other than the fact that I appreciated the cinematography love and the devotion to what this really kind of meant for the turning point of history. And the other thing about Charles Dance, his character, he plays a very different Charles Dance's performance, but at the same time, he's still, in the scenes that he's in, he's able to still execute what they're trying to portray from that kind of a person. As far as for me, I'll leave it at an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. Hopefully you go and check out Mank on Netflix. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, guys.